What's up, pirates of the YouTubes? It's Dennis here, bringing you a deck profile today from a winning deck profile that I have over the weekend. I got third place in a local tournament that went 4 rounds about, and yeah, it's pretty strong. I don't know why people are playing it, but I'm going to show you my strongest version of it, as it's very different from what you might see online. So let's get right into it. The strongest Crocodile deck, of course, is not this Crocodile, not this Crocodile, not this Crocodile. It's the purple yellow Crocodile, and this is the one that has a effect for when a Dawn is on your field is returned to your Dawn deck. By your effect, you add a Dawn from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So basically, when you return a Dawn to your Dawn deck through effects, you get to get one back as active, and that's all he does. But it'll come up very often in the deck, and I'll show you why. So let's get right into it. Purple and yellow is a nice mix of colors. It has not been done before, so we're going to show you what this new Crocodile can do. And funny thing, I played against another Crocodile player in the tournament, and it was a blue one, and I won. So anyways, up first, I'm going to show you the yellow cards, and we're going to do a full-on Big Mom Pirates package. So there's a lot of Big Mom Pirate cards in here because it synergizes with the deck so well, and because this leader and cards in here, they stack life constantly, so you're going to see that it's going to be very good to put all these trigger cards here. So 4 Charlotte puddings to search for your Big Mom Pirate cards. Next up, we've got 3 of this guy. So it's a 2K counter. He has an obscure effect to, every once in a while it can come up to destroy maybe a law player, discard something with trigger to KO something of 1 cost or less. Won't come up too often, but in an emergency, it's there. So 3 of that for searching with her, and it's 2K. Next up, I'm playing 3 of Veggie. He's the new one that's also 2K, and he has a trigger to make one of your opponent's characters or leader not be able to attack during this turn. And he's a fire tank pirate. That's why I'm playing him at 3 instead of going 4. Like, let's say I can cut one of him and put another gang Veggie. But that's up to you if you want to do that. I'm just doing it so that my Charlotte Pudding won't whiff, and so that my Charlotte Peril Sparrow won't whiff. So I'm most likely going to land my draws when I activate them. So 4 Charlotte Perils, use a trigger to play him, and then when he's KO'd, you get to search. And if you see him in the hand, 3 for 5 is not a bad attack stat at all for the Dawn that it's costing. So 4 Perils, you can see it's going to be a big Mom Pirate type deck in this way. So that's what we're going to put 4 of Brulees. Brulees up next is just a trigger that's a blocker, and a very good blocker because, you get to just throw it instantly. Very nice to see that off the life piles. And I'm going to play 3 of Sanji. This is another new trigger that is also a blocker, but this one has to make a discard one. That's why I'm playing 3 of him and 4 of the Brule. But I see the argument for playing Sanji's instead because he can attack. But a card off your hand is a cost, so that's something I consider. But it's up to your preference if you think you want to do 4 Sanji's and 3 Brules. So throwing your options there. Up next, 4 Charlotte Crackers. This one comes up all the time because you usually have less life than your opponent. You are a 4 life leader, and you always take your first hit anyway. So once you get him playing, or if he comes out of the triggers, that double attack is really nice. So 4 Crackers. I'm playing 2 of Charlotte Katakuri, character card here. 4 for 6, so very strong stat line for a mid game. And on play, you look at an opponent's card, put it at the top or bottom. And then since you usually have less than your opponent, the rush does come up quite often. So yeah, 4/6 rusher, not bad at all to include here. Then I'm playing 2 of Randolph. He's a new vanilla, but he's a Big Mom Pirates card, so he can be searched with my Pudding or my Sparrow's Peril. And 5/7 stat line is pretty damn strong. So 2 of hims. I made room for 1 of the bigger one. This new guy here, 6/8 Peril. Another vanilla, doesn't do anything, has a counter, but you get to play him in mid game for damage and to scare your opponents. Last 2 of the Big Mom Pirate cards is 1 Charlotte Linen. This is the one that lets your opponent choose life or death. Either you get a life or your opponent loses a life. So pretty good as a 1 of. Like I said, this deck has a whole bunch of triggers, so if they do give you a life, you're most likely going to get a trigger anyway. And if they lose a life, there you go, free life, right? Goes to the trash. I'm playing 1 of Charlotte Katakuri, the 8-drop. This is one that will return something to the owner's hand. To the owner's life pile, bottom or top. And usually when you have them and you have something like Brule, you get to return it. It's a free blocker at the end of the game for you, or Sanji, or something like that. So very good card in that sense. And if not, it's good removal on your opponent if you have a troublesome card that you don't want to see. So that's my boss lineup. That's the end of the Big Mom Pirate stuff. Up next, I'm playing 1 of Yamato. Yamato is from the new set as well. It'll on play KO an opponent's character with the cost equal to of you and your opponent's life. And then after that, if you have 1 or less life, you get to add a life. So that comes up quite often. I'm only playing one of hers because I'm kind of filled up on the boss cards through the purple side of the deck, as I'll show you soon enough. And yeah, but she's another optional one where you can boost her, maybe take out a Charlotte Linlin, I would say, if you want to play more Yamatos. But I'm always liking to mix up the boss cards of the deck because that way your opponent can never read you or assume what you're going to do. They will always be guessing because they're not thinking, oh, this guy only has 4 Yamatos, so that's all I have to worry about. Nah, they got to worry about a Charlotte category or a Charlotte Linlin coming into the game too. So that's why I'm all about mixing up the boss cards. I understand consistency, but I like to argue against consistency for boss cards. Unless it's a 10-drop Big Mom in a Big Mom deck, but nevertheless. Yellow event. Narikabura Arrow. Counter, if you have 2 or less life, give up to one of your opponent's leaders or character cards 3,000 power, minus 3,000 power during this turn. So yeah, that comes up often because you usually do have 2 life or less because you're a 4 life leader, and this can be quite handy. It's like the guard point card. And yeah, it's got a nice trigger as well that you trash 2 to give yourself a free life from the top deck. So it'll help you, survive longer in the game. So 2 of this is what I fit in. Up next, we're going to go into the purple side of the deck, which is my favorite part. And here we got 2 Black Marias. This card here, she's from the very first set, pretty old. She's a blocker, but on block she has Dawn -1. She gains 1,000 power for the rest of the whole turn. So that's pretty good. And as you remember the leader's effect, when she goes minus a Dawn, the Crocodile leader will put 1 Dawn back as active for you. So it's not even affecting you whatsoever. So it's kind of free. So, and then you have to, kind of like a Borsellino blocker. You have a 6 cost, 6 power guy. Another thing you might want to swap her out with is the 4-drop Uta. I'll put a picture of her right here somewhere. And she's something that I was thinking about switching her out for, but Black Maria just worked out for me anyways. But Uta gets to rest the character instead of making herself stronger. So it's up to your preference, what you think is better. But that's the one you want to replace for her. Here we go, the bread and butter. The bread and butter for the deck is the Missile Sundays. This one is on play, you add a Dawn from your Dawn deck, and if you have 6 or more Dawns, you get to draw a card. Very good effect, will come up all the time, especially if you're on the going first curve. You play her with the 5 Dawn that you have, you're already back on 6, and then the next turn you're on 8, and then you get to do your 8-drop Crocodiles, which I'll show you what they do. And she has a trigger to Dawn -2, play her. So in the late game or in the game state where you already have at least 5 or 6 Dawn, you're in a really good spot because you get to just draw a card and play her for free and then attack the following turn with 5k. So not a bad card at all, putting 4 of her. Next up, the reason why I chose to play this deck at all, because of this Crocodile. 4 hymns, he's your other boss card. So this guy is really neat. On play, you -2 Dawn. If your leader's Baroque works, you add a card from the top of your deck to the top of your life. So free life. Free life is basically what he's saying, just on play. And then he's got the attack stat of 8 costs for 9,000 power. So the next turn you're hitting hard. So it's really, really good card here. And then on the opponent's attack, that you get to do once per turn, you Dawn -1, draw a card, and trash 1 card from your hand. So kind of get to reorganize your hand, find what you need, get rid of what you don't want as well. So, and that's on the opponent's attack. And again, your leader's effect, when you go minus a Dawn, you'll replace that Dawn anyway and have it active for one of your other events, like the Narikabura Arrow, and other cards. So yeah, for Crocodiles, I love this guy. He constantly puts life on top of he gives you life from your deck. So most likely you're going to hit any one of these triggers. You have triggers like Gangbeji, Pero, Brule, Sanji, Cracker, and all my event triggers. So we're talking about a good chance of seeing a trigger once you even do that part. And next up, one thing that this deck benefits the most from is Blast Breath. Another good Blast from the Past card. This one is Dawn -1. Your leader of one of your characters gains 4,000 power for the battle. Well, that is very strong for just 1 costing Dawn. And like I said, Crocodile leader will give you back your Dawn. Or when one of these other guys do their effects, it'll leave an active one for you to play Blast Breath surprisingly from your hand. So that's another good thing that this thing can do. So yeah, 4,000 is a great way to protect your leader and any other character you want, because people are going to have to try to hit over 4,000, and that gets pretty costly on their end. So let's see them try to get through that. Last 1 card I'm playing is my 1 Judgment of Hell. I chose just 1 of this because I didn't want to put it over the Arrow card or the Blast Breath, but it's up to you if you want to switch them out. It's the Dawn -1 card. Give 2 cards your opponent controls minus 3,000 power for the turn. And it has a neat trigger of minusing your opponent at Dawn if that's what you really want to do. So yeah, that is my deck profile. I'm gonna go neaten it out for you, make it look nice. You can get a clear view of everything. So here we go, my full Croco deck profile of purple yellow, mostly big mom stuff. And the purple stuff I play very few of, but I play the greatest cards. Like I said, the Crocodile's free life, free triggers, and Miss All Sunday's another one that can even come out from that effect. And you have the Yamato that can give you a free card. Shadow Linen that if your opponent chooses to, they'll give you a free card that's most likely going to be a trigger. So some things you might want to change out for you, some suggestions. Like I said, if you want to put Judgment of Hells, more of that instead of the Blast Breath or the Nakabura Arrow. Or if you want the 4-drop Purple Uta instead of Black Maria, because they are very similar, but just, you know, different effects depending on your preference. Another new card you might want to add is this card. Weakness is an unforgivable sin. I chose not to do it over Blast Breath, but I see why you might want it. So Dawn -1, you give your opponent, you give one of your leader or character cards 1,000 power for the turn. So it looks horrible at first glance, but it says for the turn. So that means it stays for the whole entire turn, not just the battle, that 1k. So yeah, it's if you want to try it out. I personally rather Blast Breath, but something to consider. Another one is Colors Trap, something else. If you don't like the 4 Blast Breath, Dawn -1, a character gets 1,000 power or leader for the battle. Then rest an opponent's character that costs 4 or less. So in certain matchups, this is very good. Very good against, let's say, Law. If Law is popular at your locals or wherever you play, you want to definitely play this over the Blast Breath 100%. But in my locals, there's not that many Law players. Well, there's one, so I chose Blast Breath. Kind of is better against the Katakuri matchups and everyone else. But yeah, just some options there. I hope you enjoy the deck profile, and my explanations is I'm going to show a battle video later on about how it works, but let me know what you think, and peace.